Government acquisitions should not be an apple-to-apple comparison. Want to find out why? Stick around. But first, good evening, Agile acquisition enthusiasts. Welcome back to the Underground Digital Tiki Bar. It's Friday night, and that means it's time for another episode of Agile Acquisitions and Alcohol. So cheers. All right. So for as long as I've been in government contracting, I've always been taught that when conducting a source selection for acquisitions, the goal is to achieve an apple-to-apple comparison between vendors. But in reality, is that what we want? Think about it. An apple-to-apple comparison means two vendors are bidding the exact same thing. Ultimately, then, what you're actually only comparing is their previous experience and their price. And as we've learned through modern technology and non-traditional vendors coming into the marketplace, past experience can vary greatly from traditional vendors who may have a lot of experience in the domain or the government agency that the acquisition is coming out of. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're the best suited vendor for the opportunity or for the development or capability that you're trying to deliver. And price, well, sometimes you get what you pay for. And so optimizing for the best price doesn't necessarily get you the best outcome. When actually thinking about how to evaluate vendors, I like to think, why apples to apples? Why not apples to pears or apples to bananas? Who knows? I'd like to tell a vendor what it is I'm trying to accomplish and have them provide their interpretation and their form of a solution. That's where we really get the magic of creativity and innovation from industry. After all, we're going to industry because we're assuming that they can do this better than us. Why wouldn't we also assume that they can think about it better than us, or at least have their spin on how it could be done included into the solution? So oftentimes we'll use a statement of objective, and this comes out of performance-based service acquisitions within the FAR. It's been around for a really long time, but it hasn't always been used for development, software development activities. And the adoption of Agile implementations, which again, under FAR Part 39, which has been around a while, acquisition of IT and 39.1 modular acquisitions has been there. But when we pull those two together, we kind of get the magic around how to buy modern IT solutions and how to allow vendors to deliver their best approach. So when using a SOO or a statement of objectives, we start off with a high-level vision of what it is we're trying to accomplish, and we lay out the clear objectives of each area that we want to establish capability within, but we don't tell the vendors how to do it. Now, oftentimes, a statement of objective will be followed up by a performance work statement and maybe even a quality assurance surveillance plan or a QASP. But the way in which we get there can depend greatly. Sometimes agencies will write the PWS themselves beforehand. I don't necessarily recommend that. And sometimes you'll allow vendors to propose a PWS back to the statement of objectives. That has some pros and cons to it. You generally are still going to have to negotiate it because the PWS as written may not be 100% conducive with the way the government intends to deploy. But you can negotiate that after the fact, but pre-award after you've selected the vendor, just so long as you're upfront about that during your source selection plan and your request for proposals. As for the quality assurance surveillance plan, that's another thing that the government, I recommend, should provide high-level objectives or metrics that they would like to ensure, but actually negotiate that with the vendor in accordance with the PWS. Because service level agreements and minimums and maximum availability and uptimes, testing, all of those things may vary greatly as well, depending on the type of solution that's being proposed by the vendor. So the moral of the story here is, when going out for a government acquisition, don't try to tell the vendor exactly how to deliver something and then expect to be able to decide between the two different vendors which one is going to be better or more capable, because likely all they're doing is regurgitating back to you what you said you wanted and giving you a price that they think is going to win, which may mean they're lowballing you and you might not get the quality that you're looking for, or may mean that they don't fully understand the requirement, and so they're not actually bidding a price that they can deliver under. So look for bananas, pineapples, grapefruits, all kinds of different solutions to your problems, and you're going to end up with the most innovative, best solution that fits your need while leaning on the capabilities and experience of the community that you're reaching out to. So there you have it. That's my opinion on apples to apples source selection evaluation. Hope you found that useful. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe. And until next week, cheers.